Assalamu alaikum gentlemen. Today the topic which we are going to discuss is about the introduction to transmission lines. Basically, let me tell you that what is meant by the word transmission lines. Basically, transmission lines are used for the transmission of power, right? From the power generation to the load center, we can transmit the power by using these power transmission lines, right? So, therefore, in this lecture we will be able to know that which sort of transmission lines are there, right, how many types of conductors exist, what are the materials that are used for the fabrication of the transmission lines, likewise how we have to twist the different strands in order to get the better results. Likewise, we will also go through several other parameters of the transmission lines, and in this course of power systems analysis we will go through the introduction of the transmission lines thoroughly in this lecture as well as in the upcoming lectures, right. Therefore, let us start with this. The first of all, the first thing that that should become under consideration is about the materials that is used for the fabrication of the transmission lines, right. For the fabrication of transmission lines, basically we use the four types of materials, right, which are these materials. First of all, it is silver, then gold, then copper, and in the last but not the least, it is aluminum, right. Here in this case, silver is considered as the element that has the best conductivity, right. It has the most optimum conductivity, finest conductivity, whereas gold is following the silver by having the a bit reduced amount of conductivity as compared to silver, right. Likewise, there exist copper and aluminum. In this particular case of transmission lines, we can say that silver as well as gold, both of these elements are very much expensive, right. Therefore, as these are very much expensive, therefore we always prefer to use aluminum, right. Instead of copper, we again I am saying that we prefer aluminum. What are the basic reasons, what are the fundamental reasons behind the preference of aluminum over the copper? We will just go through them, right. Aluminum is generally the most preferred element as compared to copper. We all know that, as I have told you, right. If same amount of aluminum and copper is considered, it will be found that aluminum has less density as compared to copper, right. The density of aluminum is reduced as compared to copper, right. Therefore, aluminum has less weight as compared to copper, right. It means to say that aluminum has less weight, right. I am talking basically about the volume, because volume is the I am talking about the density, as the density is the mass per unit volume of a substance. Therefore, the density of of the element, that is copper, is about 8940 kg per meter cube, right. And for aluminum, this density is very much reduced, right. How much it has the value? It has the value of 2700 kg per meter cube, right. That is why aluminum has less weight as compared to copper. Likewise, when we consider about the prices, about the market prices of aluminum as well as copper, it is found that aluminum is much more economical as compared to copper, right. Aluminum conductor has larger diameter than the copper conductor of the same resistance, right. If the same resistance, if the same amount of resistance is considered, let us suppose that if resistance of if we have the two conductors, right, one is the aluminum conductor whereas the other one is the copper conductor, and both have the X resistance or Y resistance, then in this case we can have the diameter of the aluminum conductor will be larger as compared to the that of copper conductor, right. Having larger diameter, what is the benefit of the larger diameter? The fundamental benefit is that if the larger, if we if we can have a larger diameter, then the lines of electric flux originating on a conductor will be farther apart at conductor surface for same voltage, right. Let us suppose if the same voltage is applied over the aluminum conductor as well as the copper conductor, right, then you know that aluminum conductor has relatively larger diameter, right. So the lines of electric flux is lines of electric flux which are originating on the aluminum conductor will be farther apart as compared to the lines of electric flux that are originating on the copper conductor, right, for the same voltage. I am repeating it. Likewise, larger diameter leads to have lower voltage gradient at the conductor surface, right. And the voltage gradient becomes lower due to larger diameter on the conductor surface, right. So, therefore, it leads to have less tendency to ionize the air around the conductor, right. The low amount of voltage gradient at the conductor surface will lead to less amount of ionization in the conductor, right. Therefore, less amount of this conductor will be producing the less amount of corona, right. What is corona? Corona is a basically term that is used for ionization that is basically used for the ionization that is produced as an undesirable effect, right. Because of this undesirable effect, uh, which is called corona, the ionization in the air takes place and this thing leads to undesirable effect, right, means there exists somewhat disturbance, right. So, coming on to the next slide, we can have the types of various types of conductors, right. Among these types of conductors, we can say that the symbols are there for identifying these four types of aluminum conductors, right. Basically, these four types are used on a larger scale for the transmission lines. That why I am taking all these four types of conductors into account. For this purpose, first of all, let me tell you that first of all we have all aluminum conductors, right. Then it is followed by all aluminum alloy conductors, right. Then the third one is aluminum conductor steel reinforced, that is abbreviated as ACSR, and correspondingly in the last but not the least it exists ACAR. ACAR is there for the aluminum conductor alloy reinforced, right. Uh, Now we will go through that what type of these conductors are used for which benefit for the transmission line, right. So, coming on to the first type, aluminum alloy conductors, that is AAAC, that I have told you in the previous slide. Aluminum alloy conductors have higher tensile strength than the ordinary electrical conductor grade of aluminum, right. If we use all aluminum conductor and after using all aluminum conductor we will use aluminum alloy conductors, then we will be able to know that the aluminum alloy conductors have relatively higher tensile strength than the ordinary electrical conductor grade of aluminum, right. Afterwards, it is describing the ACSR. ACSR is basically the conductor that is most widely used conductor for the manufacturing for the fabrication of the transmission lines. Basically, in this particular type, in this specific type ACSR consists of a central core of steel strands, right, that are surrounded by aluminum strands, right. Basically, it happens that there are different strands, right. These strands are basically used for providing the strength, right. For providing mechanical strength, we place steel strands inside the aluminum strands, right. I will describe this in the with the help of a diagram in the next slide, then you will be able to know about the structure of this ACSR properly, but now for the time being you can understand that there are some aluminum strands that are making the outer layers, whereas the inner layer is made up of steel strands, right. And why these steel strands are used? They are responsible for providing mechanical strength for the power transmission, right. Therefore, coming on to the next type of this conductor, we can be able to know that ACAR has a central core of high strength aluminum that is surrounded by a layer of electric conductor grade aluminum, right. What is it basically? It has a central core of high strength aluminum, right, whereas the outer layer is made up of uh, alloys, right, electrical conductor grade aluminum, right. Likewise, on the next slide, on the next type, we can have this we can have the alternate layers of wire of a stranded conductors that are spiraled in opposite spiraled, or you can use the word twisted in opposite direction to prevent unwinding and to make the outer radius of one layer coincide with the inner radius of the next layer, right. The outer radius of one layer will be coincided with the inner radius of the next layer, right. And likewise, when you will be consider to twist different conductors, right. If we have a if we have a conductor that has a steel inside it, if I take the example of ACSR, right, that has steel core in it, whereas the outer layer is of aluminum, right. Then in this particular case, the stranded conductors are spiraled in opposite direction, right. Means to say the steel will be spiraled in the opposite direction, like if there is a clockwise turn of a of an aluminum strand, then the steel strand will have the anti-clockwise turn, right. It will happen in this way, right. Therefore, why we use this sort of twisting or this sort of spiraled structure, it is because we have to make the outer radius of one layer to coincide with the inner radius of the next layer, right. Why we use stranding basically provides flexibility for a larger cross sectional area, right. The number of strands, now if we have multiple conductors or multiple strands existed inside a conductor, then how can you be able to know that how many strands we can be used, what is the amount of what is the amount of strands, or what is the number of strands that can be considered for making a conductor. For this purpose, the number of strands depends on the number of layers and on whether all the strands are of same diameter. The total number of strands in concentrically standard cables, where the total annular space is filled with strands of uniform diameters, is 7, 19, 37, 61, 91, or this will continue to move, right. This is basically the total number of strands that are concentrically uh, that are used in the concentrically standard cables, right, where the total annular space is filled with strands of uniform diameter. Keep in mind that uniform diameter provides the too much strength to the whole structure, right, and uniform diameter is responsible for making the conductor or having the better conductivity, right, because the structure will be more appropriate and more concise, right. Likewise, uh, now we will discuss the ACSR. So, in ACSR we have the cross sectional area here. If you can watch that this diagram, right. In this diagram we can be able to know that we have the inner strand, this shaded portion, that is made up of steel, right? It is having how many conductors? It is having seven strands, sorry, not conductors. It is having 7 strands inside, whereas the two outer layers are made up of aluminium, right? And there are 24 strands of aluminium that are used for fabricating a particular conductor, right? So, we can say that in order to provide the mechanical strength to the inner layer, we use this steel, and we use the 7 strands of steel, whereas for outer transmission we use the aluminium, and we have used the 24 strands of aluminium in this case, right. So, after it we can be able to know that in this previous figure, that is figure 1, it shows that the cross sectional area of a typical steel reinforced aluminum cable, right, that is ACSR. The conductor that has been shown, it has 7 steel strands forming a central core, as I have told you, around which there are 2 outer layers of aluminum strands, right. There are 24 aluminum strands in the 2 outer layers, right. The conductor stranding is specified as 24 aluminum, 7 steel, right. It, basically this specification is about the conductor stranding. If somebody asks you that what about the what you know about the stranding of a particular conductor, then you can be able to communicate him that we know that there are 7 conductors, that there are 7 steel strands inside the core and 24 aluminum strands that are taken in the 2 outer layers, right, or simply it can be 24 by 7. So, now we can say that we can have this conductor stranding that is specified as 24 aluminum or 7 steel, right, or simply it can be called as 24 by 7, right. Now, in this case, various tensile strengths, the current capacities and conductor sizes that can be obtained by using different combinations of steel and aluminum, right. For making a conductor, we can have different tensile strengths of the conductor, right. They can be varied by varying the amount of steel or aluminum that is used for providing tensile strengths to conductors. Likewise, we can have current capacities, right. These current capacities can be varied in the form of that can be varied by using the amount of steel or aluminum, right. Likewise, we can have different amount of aluminum strands and steel strands that can lead to modify the size of the conductor, right. If you want to have larger conductor sizes, we can have more aluminum or more steel used in them, right. In order to provide more tensile strength, we have to use more steel, right, and in order to improve the conductivity, we have to use more amount of aluminum, right. Now, in this case, a type of conductor known as expanded ACSR is also used, right. What is the purpose of this ACSR, that is expanded ACSR, right. In this case, there is a filler which is used, right. Let us suppose we have a paper or we have an aluminum foil that can be used inside the steel strands, right, for making them separated from the outer aluminum strands, right, and this paper or this filler can be responsible for increasing the diameter, right. This paper or this aluminum foil gives the larger diameter, right, and hence lower the ionization in the air, means to say there is less effect of corona, right, for a given conductivity and tensile strength. Likewise, expanded ACSR is used for some EHV, extra high voltage lines, right. Whenever we have to uh, transmit the power over the extra high voltage lines, what we will use is the type of conductor which is known as expanded ACSR, right. Why we use expanded ACSR? Because it gives the extra diameter, right. It gives the enhanced diameter to the aluminum to the conductor by providing the aluminum paper, aluminum foil or paper inside the conductor for separating the steel strands from those of aluminum strands, right. So, after it the next slide is about parameters of a transmission line, the most important topic. Previously we were just going through the fundamental knowledge that has been now converted into the parameters of the transmission lines, right. Transmission lines in this case, in this particular figure, that is figure 2, what we are getting is that there are two ends of a transmission lines. One is the transmitting end or the sending end, right, which is represented by the VT. VT means transmitted voltage, or the or VS, which is known as the source voltage, right. This end is particularly connected with the power generation station, right, and from V and we have to transmit this power to the load center. So, the receiver end on the load center is represented by VR in this figure. Therefore, the line from VS to VR, this line is known as transmission line. Okay. This is responsible for transmitting the power. This is the basically in the very layman language, so that you can be able to understand, right. So, uh, we can say that transmission line is basically used for connecting power generation station to the load. Okay. Now, talking about the different parameters of this transmission line, we can say that we have the four fundamental parameters that are taken into the account for elaborating the concept of transmission lines. For this purpose, these parameters are known as R, L, C and G, right, where R stands for resistance, L stands for inductance, C stands for capacitance and G stands for conductance. Okay. So, as you know that as you know that as I have already told that while transmitting the power from the transmission end to the receiving end or the load center, there are always some sort of power losses, right, uh, these power losses must be minimum in a transmission line. If these power losses will be minimum across a transmission line, then we can say that this transmission line is having least losses or less impedance, or this is the most perfect transmission line for for its consumption into the power systems, right. For this purpose, whenever we will draw or we will design a transmission line, then we must consider all these four parameters in order to design a better transmission line for getting least amount of losses or the minimum losses, right. Likewise, voltage regulation, power losses and efficiency, these three factors are dependent on the distribution of all these four parameters, right. Which three factors? The voltage regulation, power losses and efficiency of a system, of a power system, that is dependent on the distribution of these four parameters across a transmission line, right. What about the distribution of these four parameters in a transmission line? Let me tell you about the most important point, that all these four fundamental parameters, that is resistance, inductance, capacitance and conductance, all these are uniformly distributed across a transmission line, right. Their distribution is uniform across a transmission lines. They are not lumped, there is no concentration, right. uh, let me describe it for those students in Urdu, that सब कुछ यहाँ पर इकट्ठा नहीं होता है, ठीक है, यहाँ पर सब कुछ लम्प्ड नहीं होता है, यहाँ पर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड फॉर्म में रहता है सब कुछ, ठीक है, ये चीज़ आप लोगों ने याद रखनी है, सही है। ये नहीं होगा कि एक जगह पे आर की कंसंट्रेशन ज़्यादा हो गई या दूसरी जगह पर इंडक्टेंस की कंसंट्रेशन ज़्यादा हो गई, तीसरी पर कैपेसिटेंस की, नहीं, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं हो सकता। सबकी कंसंट्रेशन चारों पैरामीटर्स की सेम रहेगी अक्रॉस अ ट्रांसमिशन लाइन, ठीक है। कहाँ कहाँ पे किस हिसाब से चेंज होगी ये हम आगे चल के शॉर्ट, मीडियम और लॉन्ग ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस में डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है। ओके, नाउ कंटिन्यूइंग आवर लेक्चर, let me tell you that parameters of a transmission lines are dependent on the line geometry, right, which type of line we are using, which type of transmission line we are using, and what is the shape of this transmission line, right. Basically we have four shapes that are generally considered. Among them, one is the moose, the other one is zebra, the other one is dog, and likewise one other, right. Uh, line geometry is basically playing a vital role in defining these parameters. Likewise, when we consider the properties of the different materials that are used for fabricating a transmission line, we can have the variation in the parameters, right. For example, if we use steel for fabricating a transmission line, it has different conductivity and it has different resistivity, and while placing the insulation material inside it, we can have the different sort of views as compared to keeping an other type of uh, strands inside the inner core of a conductor, right. Likewise, when we will go through the operational frequency, the operational frequency varies from country to country. Like in America, there is the operational frequency of 50 hertz, 60 hertz, sorry, whereas in Pakistan we have the different frequency, and in the Europe we have all the different frequency, right. So operational frequency keeps on varying from country to country, right. Therefore, among these parameters, let me tell you that resistance and inductance, these are used for the series connections, while capacitance and inductance, both of these are used for the shunt connections, right. Let me repeat the very important concept, that among these parameters, the resistance and inductance, these are the two parameters that are used for the series connections, while capacitance and inductance, these two parameters are used for the shunt connections, okay. So conductance exists between conductors or between the conductors and the ground, right. In the while considering the parameters, let me tell you that conductance is the parameter that exists between the conductors and ground or between the two conductors, right. uh, for example, we have a transmission line having length L, and it is connected between the two conductors A and B. Then the conductance will be existing between these conductors from A to B, or from A to ground or B to ground, right. There will be three types of conductances in it that can be taken into the account, right. Conductance accounts, next point is, conductance accounts for the leakage current at the insulators of overhead lines and through insulation of the cables, right. Basically, uh, in order to in order to consider the effect of capacitance, we often place insulators, right. Insulators are always there, but as you know that in the world, in the universe, there is no insulator that is already perfectly fine, and it can block, it can resist all the incoming current, right. Therefore, they some leakage current always exists from the insulator, right, and this leakage current is known as conductance, right, for the overhead lines. Since leakage current as at insulator of overhead lines is negligible, right, the conductance between conductors of an overhead line is usually neglected. In most of the cases, we know that power is always measured, the transmitted power is always measured in megawatt, while these losses, this leakage current is always in some watts, right, some millivolts or some watts, sorry, not millivolts, but some watts, a few watt, right, watt, right, it is not volt, it is watt, right. So, we can ignore a few watt as compared to megawatts, right. Likewise, another reason for neglecting conductance is that since it is quite variable, there is no good way of taking into account, right. Sometimes uh, the leakage current is more, is high, and sometimes it is less, right. Therefore, the variation in the amount of leakage current, that is conductance, keeps on varying, and this results into its fluctuation. So, there is no good method, not a good method introduced till now that can be used for taking this conductance into account, right. Likewise, leakage at insulators, the principal source of conductance, changes appreciably with the atmospheric conditions, right, and with the conducting properties of dirt that collects on the insulators, right. There are two things in this point. He is telling that there are two things, right. Which are the two things? One is the environmental conditions, right, that can affect it, and the other one is the dirt that is collected on the insulator and which result in uh, reduced amount of conductivity, right. Therefore, we can have these two factors which are also responsible for affecting this conductance, right. Corona, which results in leakage between the lines, is also quite variable with the atmospheric conditions, right. What it means, this sentence means that sometimes the ionization becomes larger and sometimes ionization becomes smaller, right. Therefore, whenever the ionization becomes larger, we have different amount of conductivity, right, and whenever it gets lower, the leakage current gets lower, then we have the less effect of corona, right. So, therefore, because there will be the less ionization in the air, so we have less amount of corona. So, let me tell you that it is fortunate that the effect of conductance is such a negligible component of shunt admittance, right. Whenever we will fabricate a transmission line, we will mostly ignore the parameter of this transmission line, the conductance parameter of this transmission line, or whenever we will consider this effect of conductance, that is G, then it will be considered in the long transmission line, but not up to very much extent, but it will somehow considered, right. When we will go through the long transmission line, then we will be able to study it, right. This is all from today. We will upload the next lecture soon, and in that lecture we will be able to communicate about the rest of the parameters in the transmission lines, right. I have only narrated, I have only told about G parameter in these slides. In the next slide, we will be able to study about the resistance, inductance and capacitance, right, among which the topic of inductance will be very much higher, right. We will go through it after completing the next lecture. Okay, thank you.